Hey, it's Coach DJ Taylor with Athletic Foundations Inc., the workshop series. I'm here with Lacy Gunnoe, the pilot speaker. He's going to be bringing his presentation on leadership core values. So we're going to deep dive into that. Lacy, you can take it away.
Hello, everyone, and DJ, thanks for having me on. I appreciate what you're doing, just impacting these young people on and off the field, helping them build a character that'll sustain everything that they build in their professional career and beyond. So, thanks so much for having me on. Today, when I talk about leadership, it's not just leading other people, it's about leading yourself first. So many times today we talk about leadership. I see people saying the right things, but are you doing the right things? And so much is easier learned by demonstration and doing it than just talking about it. And in the airplane, I've been a pilot in the Air Force for over 20 years now, and I love the opportunity to do a demo do because if I can give a good demonstration, then they can do it a lot better and they understand all the writing and all of the illustrations so much better by just doing it, getting a good demonstration. So what I challenge everyone out there as we talk about leadership is just be the change, be the example, exist as example of the person that you want in that organization. So lead yourself first is a concept that I continually talk about. So really quickly, and I know we can discuss many different versions of leadership and we will hopefully revisit throughout some of the courses here. But for what I'd like to talk about today is just some core values that I learned in the Air Force over the past 20 years. And this is what has built my career in the Air Force. So there's three core values in the Air Force. The first one is integrity first. The second one is service before self. And the last one is excellence in all that you do. So I'm going to quickly unpack those, and DJ can kind of help translate those into maybe some sports, athletic situations that he's encountered. And I'll do them in back reverse order because I want to end with what I want to. I want to end with something that's very important, which is integrity. So I'm going to start with excellence in all that you do. Now, this sounds profound, right? Like excellence in all that you do. But what does that really mean? What does that mean in today's terms? Today's terms, what that means to me is how you do anything is how you do everything. And this goes from how you run every play, how you are in the gym, but it's also, are you making your bed at home? Do you walk past that piece of trash on campus or at your high school? Like, what kind of person are you? Is it excellence in everything? Are you just cutting some corners here or there? Or are you demonstrating excellence in all that you do? In the Air Force, this is super important because, first of all, an airplane will kill you really quick if you're not paying attention. You have to have a certain level of attention, DJ, and everything that you're doing. And that's why this core value is so important. And you have to treat like a 59-cent pencil the same way you treat a $59 million airplane. And that's the point, is that when people see that there's excellence in all that you do, they come to expect excellence in every interaction. As leaders, and I want to say this too, yes, excellence in all that you do, there's going to be days where you just don't hit the mark. There's going to be days whenever DJ calls you out, but that doesn't change. That doesn't change the philosophy. It doesn't change the core value. As a matter of fact, you may miss core values every now and again. And it's an opportunity to just reset and get back up because it doesn't change, right? We may never reach perfection, but this is an ethos. This is a core value that every day is progression, not perfection. Okay. If that was the case, we'd all be considered out. But every day is a new day. That's why we get up and get after it with excellence in all that you do. Does that exist in the sports world, DJ? Do you have any examples of something like that? Is that something you preach all the time?
Oh, Lacy, we live it.
Yeah.
My day to day is in the weight room, whether it be with a high school team or an individual athlete. We say that like win each rep.
Yeah.
Come with them. It starts with how you show up, the mindset you show up with. Like you said, treating the 59-cent. I wrote that one down. 59-cent pencil like you would a $59 million plane. Like every rep matters. Okay, you don't have a successful session without a successful rep. You won't show up on game night or match night without the successful rep. Every rep matters. I use
Good.
every rep matters. Nothing's important,
Mm.
so we don't make the moment bigger than It is.
That's
Um,
really good. That's really
but
good.
yeah, you got to show up in the day to day. I love that. What did I write? How you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
You know, in training, if you skip out on your reps when the time comes to actually perform and you need that power or that strength, it won't be there.
Mm.
But if you attack each rep like it matters, you show up, you can show out.
That's right. That's right. And I love that what you just talked about. To extend upon that, it's like you never rise to the occasion. You can get all
Hmm.
pumped up. You can get
Yep.
your heart racing. You can get up for it to get after it, but you never really rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your habits. You fall to the level of practice. You fall to the level of what you put in. And you can't fake that on game night. You can't fake it when you show up, like just to get it together. So excellence in all that you do is treating practice like you treat the game. Vince
Hmm.
Lombardi was asked, like, "Hey, coach, the Lombardi Trophy, NFL, Super Bowl type stuff." It's like, Coach Lombardi, like, what do you miss most? And I thought he would say, winning the Super Bowl, something crazy. And he was like, practice. He
Yeah.
missed practice because he knew where championships were made, formed, and become a habit. So you fall to the level of your habits. So excellence in all that you do. And I want to end that one with a quote, and it's by Winston Churchill, who was leading the UK, right? So he's leading the UK, Great Britain, as the prime minister in a very dark, tumultuous times where, like, man, like it's World War II, right? And like
Yep.
bombs are raining down, Nazi Germany's attacking. He had to inspire his people, and all he had was like a radio and speakers. And I'm picturing these people huddled up in a small home with rain dripping down through the roof, and he had to inspire them. And he said this, and this really harnesses to me the power of that moment. You talked about every rep, winning every rep. This is the power of the moment. He said this: to each there comes a very special moment in their life where they're figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered a chance to do something that's very unique to them, to their skill set and their talents. And this is you. This is coming in as an athlete. This is coming in as a starter. This is coming in as a student. And I want to end the quote, and I want you to pay attention to this because he ends it with a challenge. He said, "But what a tragedy would be to find for each of these people to find themselves in this moment unprepared and unqualified for what could have been their finest hour." We don't talk like that anymore. We don't say finest hour,
Yeah.
but this might be the championship moment. This might be the moment that it all counts. And what if you find yourself unprepared, wishing you could go back and have excellence in all that you had done to get you at the level to get it done in that moment? So every moment matters, every rep matters. I love that. So excellence in all that you do, it's a lifestyle. How many days does it take to make an effective habit with this? It takes a lifetime. I'm 43 years old. Times that I bypass something, and I really got to reset my mind and get back after it the next day. So, it's not the character of a man of how many times that you fall, it's how many times you get up. And as long as you keep getting up, you have another chance to get it right. So excellence in all that you do. Number two, service. So service before self. This is the epitome of teamwork. Willing to put down the block, willing to lay down on that wire, as Captain America would say to Tony Stark. You're not willing to put yourself on the line, right? You want to be able to lay your life down for someone else. Really, I mean, even in the Bible it talks about there's no greater love than laying your life down for your brother, for someone else. And I want to say this, that whenever you live a life of service, which Muhammad Ali said is the rent that we pay on earth, when you live a life of service to others, it's really going to fill you up, and you're going to have this fulfilling feeling of purpose. And you can find that in the gym, you can find that in the football field, in any arena you step into, because it all comes down to other people. So when you find your purpose, you find your gift, you find an opportunity, a team that you're on to be able to serve other people, you're going to realize that's the greatest currency that you'll ever possess in this
Mhm.
lifetime, is the impact you have on other people. So I was a flight commander teaching people how to fly on pilot training. So I was a flight instructor, and I looked around. There's always competition. It'd be like everybody wanted to be the quarterback, but everybody wants to be this pilot of a certain aircraft. And I used to tell them all the time, I want you to pour everything you got into the person to the left of you, and pour everything you got into the person to the right of you. And if we all do that, whenever the fighters, the bombers, whenever all these aircraft fall down, the heavies, the helicopters, and someone gets what you wanted, you're going to be excited for them because they wouldn't have got there without you wouldn't have gotten where you are today without them. So teamwork is really serving each other. It's serving the coach. Coach should never really have to say, hey, let's get one more rep, one more lap. You guys should be pushing each other. And whenever you have service for self, it's not about you. It's not about what you didn't get, how many runs you didn't have the opportunity to get with the ball. Service is, I'm just happy to be here. I'm going to do my part. I'm going to own my role. I'm going to take extreme ownership in my element and do my job. So, DJ, I don't know if you want to say anything to that, but service for self is the heart of being a servant to others, the heart of leadership as a servant leader, but it's also the heart of teamwork, is putting others up whenever you can go the mile for them. What do you got on that? Anything to add on the sports tip?
Oh man, I'll use an example. So there's a volleyball team.
Okay.
One girl, uh, she's returning to sport from injury, so she's on the team as a manager.
Okay.
She shows up every day with the music. That's her job. Okay. She practices, she lifts, she's there every day. I mean, you have your setter, you have your hitters, you have your back row. Everybody's doing their job to get better, working on their skills to get better. She shows up with the music, make sure it's right every day. She does participate in practice and in lifts, like I said. And the coolest thing, there was a moment in the season where, hey, look, you're playing. And so just from showing up, doing her job, fulfilling her role, she's around the team one, she's a part of the team two, and she was ready.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So,
no, it was cool to see. It was really cool to see. But a lot of that, I know I kind of jumped around a little bit, but a lot of that came from her just serving the team, serving other people. You know, not worrying about how does it look as me just on the sideline during the games. Like, how does
yeah,
that look? It's like, no, your role is bigger than that.
yeah. And what a, that's just the humbleness of serving, not caring who gets credit or anything like that. She found a role, and let me understand this correctly. She literally brought music to play. Is that what you're saying?
Literally, I call it the director of music.
Well, but check this out. What if we all brought the music, but not the actual literal music of a little speaker box pumping everybody up? What if we all brought the music of attitude, the music of professionalism, the music of encouragement, engagement? What if we all remind ourselves of excellence and service? Like, what if we brought our own music
Yeah.
and not try to get everybody else to dance to our song, but we just encourage them to dance to the music, man, dance to one heartbeat of a team, right? So,
Oh, I like
man,
that.
real quick sidebar: when I would go out flying with some of the students back when I was an instructor piloting a smaller aircraft, we'd go out, and every day before we stepped to fly, we'd be like, "What's the song of the day, bro? What's the song of the day, young lady? Let's get it." One student said, "Living on a Prayer" by Bon Jovi. Because his flying was probably not where it needed to be. His flying career was living on a prayer. Right? So we go out and we fly, and like he's frustrated to the max. And anyway, he's almost giving up. And so anyway, I just started singing like, "Hey, we're halfway there," and I could tell he was probably not having it, right? And I said, I took the aircraft from him. I got the aircraft, and I started flying and singing. And I was like, "Are you ready to shut me up yet? I need you to fly." And he started laughing. He goes, "Sir, you're not a very good singer." And I'm like, "Well, you're going to be better at flying, but I'm going to keep singing." And so, so having the
That's
song
awesome.
today allowed us to reset, allowed us to know that, there's something bigger than just the mission right here. And it's two people being relational and keeping each other's spirit encouraged. And I think
Ooh.
that that's part of that service, because you could be 43, a colonel in the Air Force, and you can still have a hard week. Anytime you take that mantle of leadership, you're going higher on the flagpole where it gets windier and windier. You're now starting to accept responsibility and the blame and give away credit. And that can be an empty hole, or it can be a servant where you're filling the holes and the needs of others. So, man, look, when it comes to serving others, it's a hard job. but it's worth it, and it's what we're called to do as leaders. So lead yourself first, but then start filling those holes like that. Bring the music, right? Crank it up.
Crank it.
All right. All right. So for the last one, it's integrity first. Notice it's not integrity second or last, but it's integrity first. And I like to think of this as it's who you are when no one's looking, right? So integrity is doing the right thing when everyone says no one's looking, but it's also doing the right thing when everyone's looking. Because when your team is cheering you on to do something wrong, it's the same type of pressure, right? So now
Mm-hmm.
it's a peer pressure to do something wrong. Now I hope that they're cheering you on in the fourth quarter to do everything right, to win the game, or to at least give your best. But sometimes it doesn't go that way. Sometimes you see people doing stupid things on social media, and you hear roll tide, and then they do something completely stupid and lose their integrity. So integrity is doing the right thing when no one's looking, absolutely. But it's also doing the right thing when everyone is looking. And if you want to know, and I do this often, and I tell you it's hard. I'm telling you it's hard up front because leadership is hard, life is hard, everything is hard, and that's good because hard times create strong men and women, and that's the season that we're in. And if you want to know what integrity is, look at yourself in the mirror. What David Goggins calls that accountability mirror. You look at yourself. When you look at yourself, kind of run through the person that you are. Run through your performance as a man or as a woman, the person, the son, the daughter you want to be. And you're going to think, hey, man, this right here, this is the scale. This is where I should be going. And then you're also going to realize that this is where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
And that gap between the optimal you, the best version of you, and the reality of where you are, that gap, that's the level of disappointment that people carry around with them every single day. But it's also, you mind the gap. Every time you get a little closer, you look in that mirror, that accountability mirror, the integrity of getting better, integrity, which makes you feel bad initially, because when you start to search yourself, how I could get better with attitude to doing the right things, eating the right things, everything, being obedient to parents, coaches, right attitude, right? It's hard. Everything gets hard when you have more awareness. But when you get more awareness, you make better choices. Also, you get better results, and you're closer to the person you're supposed to be. And that's having integrity with yourself, with your performance personally, professionally, and as the person you want to be. So we always talk about integrity. Yeah, it's doing the right thing when no one's looking. It's your honor. I got it. And that's everything. You're right. It's your character. Number two is doing the right thing when everyone's pressuring me to do the wrong thing. Continue to do the right thing. Well, that's good too. But my hope, my prayer for everybody out there is that you can have integrity with yourself. And if you find those areas, you can have the courage to define that gap and decrease that gap. So you can look yourself in the mirror. You can be proud of the person that you are, the man or woman that you are, the athlete that you are, the student that you are. Most importantly, the person you are. So I think you'll be a little bit happier. You'll have more confidence whenever you have integrity with yourself. So integrity first. Those are the three core values: excellence in all that you do, service before self, and of course, integrity first.
Lacy, that's awesome. Um, you didn't ask me. You didn't ask me for an example in the athletic realm or arena, as I like to say. Um, but one that I think of with integrity, like you said, doing the right things when no one's looking, doing the right things when everyone's looking. And did you give a third? Right thing, doing the right things all the time is
Yeah,
essentially
well, and with yourself, that like
with
Goggins
yourself.
calls it the accountability mirror, but basically just looking at yourself and doing an accountability check. Like, am I doing everything that I need to be doing to be the best version of myself? And that's the integrity of the person you want to be.
Got it. So with that, a lot of times you come into camp. I'll use a football example. You come into camp and you get this thick playbook, very thick, extremely thick.
Yeah.
Yes, you will walk through the plays and practice and all this, but there is always this one moment coming back to rising to the occasion or falling to your training where the coach calls that you've never run before. Calls a signal. You've seen it. You've gone over the signals, but you've never run that stunt or that play, and it's your moment.
Yeah.
It never fails. Always happen. But if you have not done what you're supposed to do outside of the facility, and in the moments like in practice, ask the questions you need. Because a lot of times you just ask, "Hey, what do I do on this stunt?" You get it. And you haven't held yourself to a high standard of accountability, done that introspection that's needed,
Yeah.
you're going to drop the ball or miss your assignment in that one moment. And it's always in a big game.
Yeah.
So that's where like in the sporting arena, I think of integrity, or it comes to me first, like doing right all the time. All right, yeah, we can talk about the social aspects and whatnot, but if we just take it like performance, playing, the playbook, that big, thick playbook, it's
Yeah.
daunting, scary. You got to know it.
Yeah.
So taking the time outside of practice, outside of the facility to dive into it, deep dive into it, and then in practice, asking the questions you need so that you know you can show up. And then three, like holding yourself to that high standard of accountability. That would be my
That's good. That's good. I got one thing to add to that one.
Mhm.
In pilot training, obviously we do things on the ground to prepare students before they go solo and start flying on their own. And there's a lot of regulations they have to read that used to be this thick. Now they're on iPads and everything else. So it's only as thick as the iPad, but there's a lot of things to be responsible for before they even go out there. We stand them up at its long table, very long table, and at the end they're standing at attention. And before we even go out the door, we do this thing called stand up. Stand up is where you're standing at attention in front of the whole room, all the IPs, all of the students, all the King's horses, all the King's men, and you're standing up there. And then this instructor pilot gets up and says, "Okay, you're at this airspeed, this altitude, and you got a red light in a cockpit." You immediately know it's a fire. Oh man! And we're looking for them to remain poised. Now, it was in the book. It's that play that just got called that you're accountable for. They may or may not know it's coming. And at this point, they have to say, "Okay, sir, I'll maintain aircraft control, analyze the situation, take the appropriate action, and land as soon as conditions permit. Sir, may I ask a few questions?" And then they start going through details. And then they have to know if it's a bold-faced thing, if it's something they had to have memorized, they have to state it without missing a beat. They misspeak, sit down in front of all your peers. That's embarrassing.
Ooh,
But I'd rather be embarrassed on the ground than
yeah.
have an emergency procedure happen in the air, and now you're not ready. So we call it chair flying, we call it stand up, but we call it going through our playbook to make sure that we're ready, because you never know what's going to happen, right? Life
Yeah.
happens in the real world, and then life happens on the field as well. And I had this one student, and he was perfectly prepared for his flight, and we were getting ready to take off, and I'm like, "Hey, it's really nice outside. Let's stay in the traffic pattern instead of going out to the area to do your area work." He's like, "Oh." He fell apart in the pattern, crying, ah. And then the next day we do it again. And then finally his check ride comes up. And I told him, his name's Koch. I said, "Koch, look, if something happens, you got to be flexible. Flexibility is the key to air power, is what all airmen know. But like, you just got to be ready, and you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready with something that's in that book that may come up." And this dude went to his check ride, which is like his evaluation. He came in so pumped up. I said, "Well, what'd you get? What was your grade?" And his grade was like an average grade. I'm like, "Why are you so excited about an average grade? Like, I'm happy for you." But he goes, "Because he asked me to do a pattern delay and I wasn't ready for it. And I was able to be flexible and I got it done." This dude's a big dude, looks like Shrek if Shrek was a
Right.
Marine. And anyway, he was so ecstatic because he developed himself to be accountable for those details, to be flexible. And when it come down to it, he was able to get it done. And if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And it takes putting those people in those positions. But what a great testimony, and what a great test to put yourself in those situations so you can test yourself to stay ready. So lead yourself first there too.